Okay, so welcome everybody, and here in the beautiful Cascais in the area of Lisbon at the GCCM, and welcome to the webinar live session. And we're going to talk today about the role of data centers to meet the future demand. Again, a mouthful, but I cannot do it by myself. And I'm happy that that aicep was so nice and so friendly to sponsor this session. So Felipe, thank you for that. It is hybrid, so here next to me, we have a couple of gentlemen on the panel sitting, but also virtually. And if I may give a quick word for the introduction, and of course I go first to Oman. So please kick it off.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much for having me in this panel. My name is Huda Al-Ghabshi. I'm Senior Manager Capacity and Submarine, working in Omantel. I'm responsible of international capacity sales team, where we are doing sales, procurement, submarine infrastructure, and investment project as well.
Thank you so much, and Huda, thank you for being here with us remotely.
Thank you.
So let's move to another country, but close to Oman. We go to Fuad. Welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon or evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here. I've been with Telco for about 18 years now, and that's most of my telecoms background, but doing a lot of stuff with in the company, including at the moment international capacity, submarine cables, very similar to Huda, as well as now the product management for data centers. So it's becoming a very big business for us as well.
Okay, fantastic having you, Fuad. So let's fly a little bit, a couple of hours, and we land in Lisbon, where I think, or at the airport or close to the airport, is Thiago.
Yes, thank you, Eric. Almost leaving. I almost need to take the plane in 1 hour or two. Well, first of all, thank you all for having me. My name is Thiago. I'm responsible for business development for the B2B segment here at NOS. So, cutting a long story short, our aim is to provide end-to-end solutions to companies of all sizes here in Portugal. So I think I'll try to give the view of a provider that needs to aggregate all these actives like global connectivity, global data centers, along with local capacities like edge computing or even hybrid cloud, to provide an end-to-end solution to companies of all sizes. Thank you all again.
Thank you so much, Thiago. And okay, so let's go live here. Rui, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Rui Franco. My presentation will take a little longer because I'm old, like Luis was saying. I'm in this business.
I'm leaving.
Actually, I'm in this business for 30 years. Time flies, right?
You're still young.
Yeah, I'm a lot of time ahead of me. But I started in Marconi. Some of you guys still remember Marconi. Was the international carrier in Portugal at the time. Some people are here. Barros we were colleagues there. And at the time, Marconi was the international carrier in Portugal, was the only country that was connecting the 5 continents with submarine cables. So now we are coming back to those golden times. After that, I worked in wholesale in ONI, fixed line telco operator. And now I'm in Rent Telecom for the last 10 years. I'm the general manager, and Rent Telecom is like utility-based telco. So our main 2 businesses are data centers and dark fiber. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and good having you here. So let's move to Darwin, because what is a data center actually without an IX?
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I feel like the young blood between.
He's killing me. Now he has to watch it, right? Watch it now, huh?
I'm Darren Costa. I've been with DKIC since 2019.
That's a long time. That's no.
That's also the time when we launched the IX in Lisbon together with our partners of Equinix in Equinix Lisbon 1. I'm an interconnection / peering guy. You know, I do love IXs, as you mentioned, and part of that with DKIC, I'm responsible for the entire South America and a precious continent called Africa. So it is my job to bring the IXs closer to the data centers to deliver, edge services closest to the end users with better quality, right? Apart from that, I'm chair of the policy development group of Afrinic in Africa, and also part of the admin committee from Peering DB.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And now, last but not least, but and thank you for sponsoring, Felipe. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Felipe Costa. I'm the CEO of the sponsor, aicep Global Parques, which is a Portuguese state-owned enterprise that manages a series of business parks in Portugal, namely to install energy and heavy industry related projects. And also in 2019, we launched a business area called the CINCH-Tech Innovation and Data Center Hub, because we believe that in the business park contiguous to the big port of Sinch, we had the optimal conditions to start a hub, bringing together cable landing stations and data centers. And I'll tell you all about it in the presentation.
Well, that would be lovely, because we are eager to hear all about aicep and all the developments which were there and which are there to come. So, if I may invite you to go to the stand, and let me get this moment quickly for the ladies and gentlemen here in the audience. And actually, because somebody was complaining, I'm not looking at somebody, that there were not too many ladies in the room, but now there are more ladies in the room than men. So, you know, that's how fast our industry can change. There you go. So, but what I wanted to say, guys, it's please, if you have questions, let's make this interactive. It's the last panel of today. Tomorrow we have another two coming up. So I would like to invite you to those as well. But if we have any questions, let me know, and we'll get your answers. All right. So Felipe, I think the floor is yours, and right, please take it away. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's indeed a pleasure for us to be a part of this. As I was mentioning, we launched CINCH-Tech Innovation and Data Center Hub back in 2019, as we thought we had a perfect location to host cable landing stations and data centers in Southwest Portugal. As I was mentioning, aicep Global Parques is a state-owned enterprise, so we're a government entity, which does give us some advantages in this regard. We manage vast swaths of land by Sinch, where we can accommodate projects and give them the opportunity to escalate in government-owned land. So knowing that the one supplying the land, the infrastructure, all the other inputs that namely data centers need in terms of utilities, we're just there to make sure that we're comfortable. We're not there to make money off the land. CINCH-Tech, as I mentioned, is managed by us. aicep Global Parques launched in 2019 with the local municipality, the municipality of Sinch, in close cooperation with our colleagues from the Port of Sinch, as our business park is actually included in what we call the Sinch Port Logistics and Industrial Complex, and with a lot of support and a lot of guidance and a lot of help from mostly two people. My former boss, back when I was young, I used to work for Mr. José Barros from Anacom. So I did have a little background in telecom and learning with the best. And also from Philippe Dumont from LLink, who was, we started this project, CINCH-Tech, was our inaugural customer. He started this with us and the city of Sinch. We host this the industrial and logistical zone of Sinch, which has three main business areas. One of them is obviously logistics associated with the container and solid bulk terminals of the Port of Sinch. The other big area of business is energy and industry. This is the one you'll hear most about Sinch these days, about the overseas flows of LNG and Sinch playing a role in Europe's energy security and diversity. And we also have a lot, actually we have currently about corporate investments of about 12 billion euros in this energy and industry segment, about 6 in energy transition, obviously green hydrogen, green ammonia, but also a lot of alternative liquid fuels. And the other 6 billion are industrial projects that are actually coming because we can provide the opportunity for some heavy industries, some heavy chemical industry and metalworks industry to become, if not carbon neutral, close to that, and to have a series of circularity and green transition projects. And then obviously the digital, this product that we launched precisely on October 23rd, 2019. And we have 2 areas that are relatively allocated to that. In the north, where the canal for the cables to land is, and we already have their LA link, and we're hoping in the near future, and I'm just going to say it because it's been in the news, we have to have Medusa, and we hope to have more naturally connecting us to Northern Europe and North America. And then in the southern tip, and benefiting from a lot of existing infrastructure, from grid interconnection to seawater intake and rejection facilities, we have the data center cluster, the emerging data center cluster. We decided to launch this as we identified some competitive advantages that we believe that the site had in its tradition, as in logistics and energy, probably not for intensive e-ecosystems, but for big infrastructure such as cable landing stations and data centers. Its location, the fact that it serves as EU-Atlantic data gateway connections, and its proximity to Lisbon, the abundance of water supply, be it industrial usage water, be it those 2 pre-existing facilities for seawater intake and rejection belonging to the energy industry, but are now possible to share with the existing companies. One of them belongs to REN, not to the REN we have here today, but to another part of REN, which is the LNG terminal and regasification facility. And the other one belongs to the Portuguese incumbent electricity company, EDP, which used to have a big coal-fired power plant, an asset that is in itself transitioning to green energy. In green energy, we are creating a renewable energy community and getting proximity supply for a series of emerging wind and solar PV farms in the vicinity of our business park. And there's great front haul and back haul connectivity. And overall, and I don't have to tell this to anyone who's not from here, since you're now currently into the Marinha, Portugal is a safe and great country to live in. We do our landing of the cables in our preferential. We obviously do not decide that, the customers decide that. We have a preferential area for the landing and subsea cables. My colleague Teresa Ribeiro, who is here with us, has been working with other government departments, the Portuguese NRA for Telecom, the Portuguese Environmental Agency, the Maritime Licensing Authority, to create a special canal for pre-licensed canal for the landing of subsea cables. And she's already done a lot of work with them in greatly simplifying the permitting process for the landing of subsea cables. We believe indeed that we are in a great location for subsea cables. Southern Portugal in general, obviously the landing spots in the Lisbon metropolitan area, and us a little bit further down in Sines. We do believe, however, that we have some major competitive advantages, or I would dare say that maybe in Sinj, and as a public servant, I must tell you this, I believe that Sinj offers conditions for more value added in Portugal, for the better development of a data economy in Portugal. Because as I was saying, we have vast swaths of land, we have a plentiful supply of the industrial usage water, we have the seawater intake and rejection facilities, we have energy intensity, we have the capability of mobilize tens, hundreds of hectares for a data center project, and we can supply that electrical intensity, and we can make sure that there's high voltage and extra high voltage interconnection being deployed for that purpose and being built by us with our partners. And I think that's something that's going to become increasingly hard to do in the more densely populated areas of Europe, in the big metropolitan areas. And also probably in Lisbon, it would be hard to find 100 hectares and a route to develop, for example, extra high voltage line of 400 kV. I think that would be extremely difficult. And I think that more and more locations like Sinj will be the preferential locations in Europe, as they will avoid utility and resources competitions with the densely urban areas of the Union and the continent. So we proudly say we have a hub because we already have a cable landing station, and when cable has landed, and we already have a data center project. So we believe we can call it a hub. First of all, obviously we have Ella Link that you're all acquainted with, connecting Europe and South America. Ella Link and obviously the cables that have even more recently landed in Portugal, and the new ones that are coming are going to inaugurate a new era. We hope to have some of those cables land in Sinj, and we hope some of those cables to have an effect in attracting data centers. And as I may say, vice versa. We hope that the data center is also going to bring more cables. And as a data center, we have a big project for that. It's actually just started being built for a hyperscaler, a data center, a big data center, or 495 megawatt power, start campus, taking place in Sinj, next to the now decommissioned coal-fired power plant. We hope to have more computing, data processing, and data storage projects. This is the new project under consideration, the Medusa cable system that connects the 5 Southern European countries with 5 countries in North Africa and Turkey. And the way we try to build up on this development, on creating a Sinj-Tech cable landing station and data center hub, is trying to get all the partners on board. Obviously, the municipality, ourselves and Ella Links, who are the founders of the Sinj-Tech concept, and then all the other relevant players in Portugal for the connectivity that the hub needs, and the developers that are starting to come on board, and obviously, first of all, Start Campus with the Sinj Transatlantic Renewable and Technology Data Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Felipe. Let's see if there's a question for Felipe. No. All clear? They're completely impressed. You see? That's how it goes. Maybe on the virtual side, so Huda, Thiago, Fuad, any questions, or was it crystal clear for you guys?
No, it was clear.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so let's move immediately in there. Data center landscape. Maybe Huda, you can start. Can you give us an additional overview of let's say from your perspective? What's going on with you guys?
Thank you so much, Eric. For us in Mantel, we consider data is like the new oil. You know, in GCC, we are well known of having oil in our countries. So the new oil is data, and we are really working hard on getting almost everybody bring like content providers, cloud to be here in Oman. But to do this or to achieve this, you need to focus in several aspects, like having golden routes, lower latency, and redundancy. But we definitely know that this is not only infrastructure, where data center is the enabler of this ecosystem. And to have neutral data center in your country, like we focused on two things, which is open access and being carrier neutrality. I believe everybody will agree on these two aspects, where by focusing on this, we managed to get Equinix, where they did their first collaboration with an operator. You know that Equinix normally they build their own buildings or data centers alone. And this was their first collaboration with an operator. And we are really thankful for Equinix for their trust on us as Omantel. And we already started having MC1 as the first neutral data center in the region. And now we are replicating the same story in Salalah, where it has a perfect location to be the international or the new transit hub.
Thank you. Well, and Carlos, who's the MD of Equinix of Portugal here, he's happy with your beautiful words. We had him this morning in the session. So Fuad, also from your side, from the operator side, how does the data center landscape look like for you, and what do you see?
Well, the landscape, as Huda said, is, I mean, I'm sure that the data centers are the new oil for the Gulf, and that's reflected in the number of projects that are going along in Bahrain and the region. And the demand doesn't seem to be stopping. So, you know, the demand is always there. So, the supply can't keep up, basically. We have an advantage in the region. I think we still have a relatively lower cost of power from government utilities and so forth. However, the adverse challenges, the environment in the Gulf is usually quite warmer in the summer, so the cost of cooling, temperature controls and humidity controls are really important and very much have to be maintained at the highest levels to make sure that there's no outages.
No, okay. So let's move to Lisbon to Tiago. Tiago Ednos, how do you see the landscape?
Yeah, well, I think I can provide, I would say, an additional view for this challenge. We are focused on providing the end-to-end service to our customers. So it's pretty clear that having a strong global connectivity and global, I would say, network of data centers, it's critical. It's, I would say, an hygiene factor. But the fact is that to provide an end-to-end solution and taking into consideration that I would say that hybrid cloud architectures will be the norm going forward, we are focused on using the best available assets, talking about global connectivity and global data center networks, but on top of that, providing our own, I would say, local and regional infrastructures, partnering with the players that operate in our geographies. For instance, we have a partnership with REN for the Portuguese region, and then on top of that, we make sure to provide, I would say, interoperability with cloud architectures, with the hyperscalers, and we also focus on our core business, that is to provide a strong local and regional communication networks with all the layers of security, and on top of that, the managed services, again, to assure an end-to-end solution to our customers.
Okay, thank you. Rui?
Maybe I can add to that the view from a company, Rent Telecom, that is part of an energy group. And the fact that, as I said, we have two main businesses, the optical fiber, dark fiber business. We have like 8,000 kilometers of fibers, of fiber cables in Portugal, and a lot of 7 crossing points to Spain, and the data centers. So we have two main data centers in the north, one of them in partnership with NOSA. We will talk about that maybe later. And for us, these two things always came together. And the fact that we are a provider of connectivity does not mean that our data centers are not neutral. They are neutral. And I think it's very important from our point of view that data centers are truly neutral. That is, in our data centers, any other player can be there in equal conditions and provide connectivity, because data centers don't live without connectivity. Very flexible, because we have seen traffic doubling every 2 years or more, growing at around 40% per year. So these will for sure go on like this, if not go even at faster speed. So we have to be very flexible, very efficient in terms of costs, because depending on the data centers, of course, on the type of clients, everyone is demanding for more efficiency in terms of energy. This is a must. And of course, sustainability is an issue also, very, very important. So this ecosystem with submarine cables, terrestrial networks, and data centers, I think is happening here in Portugal with the arrival of these announced 4 cables in Portugal. One of them already here, LL-Link, for which we are the providers of the backhaul. I think we have all the conditions for this symbiotic mutualistic relationship between data centers and fiber networks, either terrestrial or submarine, to grow.
Okay. Darwin, you overlook the African market, the Latin market, so you have a bit of an overview of what's going on. Of course, you want to push your IX in there everywhere, which we know with DKIX, that's how they do it, and you do it quite well and successful. That's, I have to say as well. So give us your overview of the data center landscape. What do you see?
I actually wanted to complement what Rui just said. Rui mentioned the data center can't live without connectivity, but I will add they would live, data center operator would live better with having an IX inside the data center to add more value into the services they traditionally already offer to the customers, whether they're enterprise or automotive industry or educational institutions and so on and so on. Looking into an IX perspective and a company like DKIX, we are present in more than 500 data centers globally, Asia Pacific, Europe, and North America. Yes, we will be spending into Africa, into South America. We don't like to see non-DKIX dots within the global map. So this is just a trend, whether the community asks us to jump into and to help to make the internet a better place in those regions. That's something that we normally do together with our partners. And by highlighting the partners, I would like exactly to mention, what you just said about Rent Telecom, right? So currently we are, and just translating that into the Portuguese context. Currently, DKIX is only available in Lisbon at Equinix Lisbon 1. But obviously, there are networks in Porto which can't reach Lisbon for some reason, and they are enterprise, or either they run online applications, but they need an IX to distribute the traffic, right? So it only makes sense for us to be present in multiple locations. And how do we do that? Together with our partners, whether they are transport partners, data center partners. In the morning, we spoke about SLTs being placed into the data centers. It's not a trend, it's a reality. I think one of the last articles I was reading about that was a project that Google mentioned, the Curie project, which was from Google, which actually landed in Equinix LA4, and it was terminated into the IBX. So I mean, we are talking about different parts of the ecosystem, but all of them are important. And in the morning, we also spoke about 3 neo cables, whereby LL-Link already landed with 72 terabits capacity per second. And if we sum up LL-Link capacity to Africa and Iquiano, we are talking about more than 350 terabits per second. So I guess Portugal has a huge opportunity in here to become not just a corridor, but to become the aggregator point in South Europe, beside of Madrid or Marseille, whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah, okay. Felipe, I mean, it's true that you know, no, let me rephrase it. Future consumption trends of bandwidth hungry consumers, a statement. What are we talking about? Can you give us an overview? What do you see?
Sorry, you asked about trends of
the future consumption trends. What do you see? What will determine, let's say, the demand which is out there?
I think that
and maybe with the correlation to energy, maybe. I don't know.
What we're playing on here is that demand will obviously continue to grow, capacity will continue to grow, and we think that we have the opportunity to provide green power data centers within the European Union jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be important. And like Darwin was saying, we want our site in Sinj to be a site that combines cable landing stations and data centers. And we focus a lot on attracting data centers. And in addition to the advantages I mentioned, I would like to highlight those. We want green data centers, and these data centers are going to be located within the European Union jurisdiction. And I think that's going to become a major competitive advantage for us, even if we obviously are better positioned to be a connectivity point to South America, Africa, and North Africa and the Middle East.
Okay, thank you. Thiago, also for you, future consumption trends of bandwidth hungry consumers.
Yeah, sorry, Eric.
Please.
I was rather enthusiastic to start discussing.
I can see that.
Topic. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Take it away. No. Take it away.
Yeah, let me try to bring I would say a business perspective, or at least coming from the end user, the end company. The fact is that there are new trends like, I don't know, IoT, connected operations, well, video collaboration, remote is the new normal, as you know. As we all know, there are augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse, well, you name it, a lot of new keywords. All of those very pretty intensive when we are talking about when we're talking about data. So that's one part of the point I want to make. The second part, and then I'll try to merge both, is that there are also new communication technologies. So the huge investment in fiber that everyone is talking about, but on top of that, 5G, that not only leverages these new cases, but are also leveraged by, so as soon as you understand that you can actually move an exponential increase of data globally and locally, the use cases, there will be more new use cases depending on data. And so again, I would say that the increase of data clearly is being pushed by new trends on the way we collaborate, on the way companies interact with their customers. And as we already mentioned a sentence like the one I'm going to say right now. I think the right sentence is data is the new oil. And the fact is that big data always produces more big data. So, and we surely need not only a place to store this data, but also compute power high enough to process this data for a human to be able to understand it and act upon it. Okay, so well, bandwidth is increasing, but I would say pushed by these new ways of interaction, and I think this is an unstoppable trend. So we surely need to keep investing on global connectivity, global data centers, but also local data centers, edge cloud infrastructures, because latency is a topic also. So that's why I was enthusiastic to discuss this. Data is clearly increasing, and the challenges that we will be facing and our customers are huge. So we need to help those companies to really handle it.
Absolutely. And Huda, I saw you nicking like, yeah, he's right. Okay, do you want to add something to it, please?
Yes, actually, I'll talk from submarine perspective, where during the pandemic, and almost we are partially in the end of the pandemic, the capacity demand is really increasing a lot. Previously, we were so happy to sell 10 or 100 gig, but now it's rarely to hear 100 gig. It's more in fiber pair and terabytes. So yes, capacity or demand will keep increasing. Plus, there is something very important, that if I'm an owner of a cable, of a submarine cable, then my ultimate goal is to land or to pull my cable into a neutral data center where it's have an open access. But this is not only thing. We will need also a DC power. Like lots of data center, they are a bit reluctant or hesitant to have DC powers in their data centers. But if I'm pulling almost 20 fiber pairs, I will not be able to work with a reluctant power in the data center. So this is a very important point. Data centers owner, they should really take care of it, and in order to be able to manage the huge demand on increase on data, as well as like what Diego said, the latest technology, 5G, like whatever you can name it. You will need lower latency, open access data center, as well as power, where you can really like lower power consumption as well.
Okay. Fuad, you want to add something to it from Telco?
Yes, I was going to add, from Betelco's perspective, I was going to add to what Darwin was saying earlier about the IX. So, of course, Betelco also operates a Manama IX powered by AM6 in our global zone, which is our neutral data center in Bahrain.
Yeah, the Amsterdam guys, right?
Yes, so we work with Amsterdam IX. Yeah, not the kicks, unfortunately.
No, AM6, the Dutch guys. Yeah. I know.
They're all good. They're all good. So, yeah, we work hard. We operate. We maintain the Manama IX, and that has been a huge growth potential. So we have customers, as Huda was saying, 100 gigs and above now. They're connecting. It's proven to be the fastest growing IX in the region since its inception a couple of years ago. So traffic has grown exponentially every year, and it continues to do so.
Okay, Darwin, what role does for the audience? What role does the internet exchange and peering play, and help to generate new value-added services to drive growth and by the end of the day to maximize the revenues?
Well, actually, that's a very good point, and I fully agree with what our colleague Fuad said on the AM6 developments. I'm happy to see that, especially in your region, right? What we normally see is actually, we only go into a specific data center, into a specific region where if there is really the need for us to be there, right? Because building an IXP anyone should be capable, at least network engineers should be capable of doing that, right? But it's more than comes to it, right? When we do a partnership with a data center operator, we help them to build everything surrounding from building an LT interconnection ecosystem within the data center, right? Just making sure that they do have enough space, power, and cabinets, because by the time we join into the facility,
it's too late.
It's too late. Exactly. And the demand will grow because, as was mentioned on the previous talks as well, you're going to have the hyperscalers connected through us. We're going to be offering a lot of services, right, from cloud services to the automotive industry. And I would like to give just a use case on that. We did a partnership with the German data center operator in Germany. And it was good to see actually that, you know, the focus was mainly on the enterprise. And when we get there, you know, we only didn't provide them the ability to peer, right, the traditional services of IX, but also we gave them the ability on the platform itself to have closed user groups. And what translating that into a simple language, actually, we just made it sure that within the data center, BMW could exchange traffic with Audi on a secure and safe way, right? Because those guys, they don't want to drop that traffic on the IX platform for obvious reasons, right? So you need to kind of create an innovative and secure environment for them. And that's what we actually do. We listen into our DC partners, we listen into the customers mainly, and the most tricky ones are the enterprise one, because they do have sensitive data which they don't want to expose to the entire
Sometimes
internet,
even
right?
your data they have. So
Exactly. And so you know, if sometimes it's hard to explain to a DC operator what kind of gains we are bringing, because on the short term they might not see that, but on the long term they will see that. And you know, again, more cabinets will be ordered by their customers, more power, and so on and so on.
No, absolutely. Okay, something a bit offside, because it's on my mind, and Felipe, you mentioned it already a couple of times. It's especially the green aspect, the sustainability of the data centers. So I would like to go into it with you, because I discussed this a couple of times around the world, and I see data centers who say, well, okay, but we produce a lot of heat, which we use again, and we give back to a community, or we reuse it. How do you see, let's say, the sustainability issue and process, and what can you, with your organization, do about it? Can you give us maybe some examples? I know it has not been, you know, we didn't discuss this before, but it interests me, and I hope the audience as well.
So I can give you our example. What we are trying to do is we are trying to have the data centers use the pre-existing cooler water from the refrigeration process of the LNG terminal and the LNG tankage that there is in Sinj. There is a water rejection infrastructure that's going to have water coming out significantly cooler than the water. That water could be captured there and can be used for data center cooling. And I think that's a great way to reduce the electricity consumption of a data center, because if you're talking about green data centers, you're always talking about electricity. And personally, I'm not a big proponent of trying to limit the uses of energy or reducing the uses of electricity. But I think that if you can have alternative solutions like cooling with water of pre-existing facilities such as this, I think that's a great way to already go without a lot of the electricity we're going to use. And I was listening to our co-panelists refer that obviously is going to be a big problem in the Middle East to keep the data centers cool. And if that's done with electricity, or that obviously going to be a big usage of electricity. The other thing that we're doing specifically in Scenes is that we are setting up a renewable energy community. So we're hoping that all this energy is going to come, all this electricity is going to come from hydro, solar, wind farms. And I think that's very important for us. Specifically, it might not be important everywhere in the world, but as you know, the European Union is very invested in the double transition, you know, the green or energy transition and the digital transition. And some of the other things that we've been talking about, namely security and safety, when you start talking about IoT, when you start talking about IoT of moving things as cars, I think Europe is going to have a sovereign stance both on its green policy and on the locations of data centers and infrastructure in Europe as sovereignty. And obviously we're banking on that.
No, because by the end of the day, and I was discussing this, I don't know with who, but just before lunch, is that a lot of people who are out there, and they say, listen, you know, we need to reduce our CO2. You know, we need to reduce and reduce. On the other hand, they're using their cell phone 12 hours a day. You know, so I'm not saying look into the mirror, but we need to be creative all together. You know, because we do have an issue. We do have an issue. We need to live and be a bit more greener. That's what we need to do. And if it doesn't mean that we need to reduce our consumption on energy, as you mentioned, but we do find, let's say, alternative routes and sources to get that energy. I mean, and you know, to make sure that when it goes out, the energy, that it is not so polluted as this, then I think we are also on a good way. So congratulate on mixing as well, and using, you know, different industries actually to complement each other, to be more on the greener way, as the Euro Commissioner Frans Timmermans wants to have it. So congratulations on this one. Sorry, this was a bit offside, but I think because by the end of the day, sustainability is on our minds, in our day-to-day life. It's what we do. We separate our garbage. We do whatever we can. And one thing, it's yeah. Please.
Just add to that the example that Philippe mentioned about using the rejected cool water from the LNG terminal. That's from our company, from our energy group. And of course, we look at these also as a very good opportunity. So it's like cross thing, like you were saying. For us, before this water is still being wasted, so it's wasted energy, and it will be very important for us because we have our own social responsibility. So it's very important for us that this is done. Has this kind of value for us? Important.
No,
so you just have to be imaginative.
It's a fabulous model, eh? Yeah. It's a fabulous model. I was hoping that more people could have the possibility to do this, because let's not forget, it's also the idea and the vision that aicep and with the national park, you all have behind it, and working together so closely makes it happen. So compliments on that one. Now, Rui, being with you, wanted to move on. And do we see new business models arise, and where and how do partnership models kick in? I know you have a beautiful example. Tell us the story. Come on, share with us.
Me and Tiago, we have a story to tell you. Maybe I will go ahead. Maybe then Tiago can complement a little bit. I have many stories. I'm old, so this is just one of them.
Stop that. Is he old? Okay, let's stop. Is he old? Okay. No.
Yeah, the important thing is there is a lot of things ahead of us to do. And the fact now is that this tremendous speed that data is growing, doubling every 2 years. I mean, we don't know where it will stop with all these technologies. I mean, the sky is the limit. So we have to be prepared for that. And this means, I think, further specialization from players. Okay, and that is the story I'm telling you about, is about specialization, and the partnership we have with NOS is about that. In the latest data center we built 4 years ago in the north of Portugal, in Porto, great wine region, by the way. So NOS is a full-fledged telco. I think Tiago has already told you about that. They serve enterprise, wholesale, residential, and their purpose is to provide high-level integrated services to their customers. Ren Telecom is utility-based telco, and we are like a niche player, very much infrastructure-oriented, neutral telco in an energy group, which focuses to build build and operate critical infrastructures. Okay, so we specialize in provide housing services, but no more than that, higher in the value chain, because for several reasons, but basically we don't want to compete with our own customers. So we just provide the basic housing services. So the story is that at some years ago, like 7 years ago, we met in an RFP from EDP, Electricity of Portugal, the biggest electricity company in Portugal. And they made an RFP for a new data center with very specific conditions they wanted. And we were competing with NOAS. We managed to get to the short list, but then we had a very clear understanding of this complementarity that I'm talking about. And we understood, and I'm very proud to be part of that understanding, that we should not compete head to head. It would not make sense, because in fact we were complementary. So we decided to align ourselves. The client itself valued that. We still had to compete with other big companies, but in the end we won. And we won being Ren Telecom, the prime contractor for ADP, and NOS joining us as a client. So the thing here that I want to stress also is that the data center was built from there, turnkey, with the requisites of these different partners, NOS, EDP, and our own group company, which is also a client. So it was made according to the requirements of these three companies. And I think this is a new approach that I want to share with you. This is semi-public, it's not a secret, but I want to stress this and say this is a new partnership model, but it requires partners to be very well aware of the value they bring to the end customer. Like in the case of looking for complementarities in energy, here we found complementarities, and I think it is a very nice story. It's one of the stories I could tell you.
Okay, Tiago, I think I feel that you have something to add to this story.
Well, I do. Well, first of all, although I have a whiteboard, I'm not that old. Okay, just to clarify, since I'm
You look
aware
young.
that's not topic this afternoon. So okay, just to clarify that. Well, but focusing on and adding on what Rui just mentioned. Again, I think focusing on our end customer is the way to go. So customer has needs, general needs, and there are very relevant players and specialized players that can be aligned to provide a best of breed solution in an optimal way. So we are talking about players like REN focusing on best of breed infrastructures, talking about data centers and connectivity. We are even talking about hyperscalers, because the world is not just zeros and ones. It is not that binary. Technologies evolve. We are typically seeing nowadays hybrid solution, extreme hybrid solutions. So our customers' infrastructures are a mix of more than 20 or 30 years old infrastructures that need to interact with best of breed public cloud solutions, and bringing and creating this Tetris. Do you know the game? The right Tetris, mixing and matching the right specialized players to provide this kind of solution. I think it's the way to go. What we did with REN is clearly a case study. We are doing additional kinds of partnerships with different players. For instance, with the hyperscalers, we are hosting their own edge cloud solutions, and because there are additional use cases that require, well, the flexibility of public cloud, but locally installed due to regulatory context, like, well, I don't know, data sovereignty, but also like latency. So making this kind of partnerships with between infrastructure providers and telcos, between hyperscalers and telcos and infrastructure providers, for me, it's clearly the way to go. Well, and I think we should promote that kind of collaboration.
Okay, thank you. Talking about the role of data centers and to meet the future demand, Huda, if I may ask you, what's the impact of, and you tipped on it already a little bit, but I want to go a bit more in deep. What's the impact of the ever-growing needs of multimedia and cloud applications and the capabilities of the access network, so 5G, FTTH? Actually, what effect do they have on the data center business?
Okay. First of all, I will talk about it from submarine perspective. Like previously, we already see that that the traffic or the data is really increasing. So previously, we were partnership with oil providers or content providers. Now, especially in the region, since we all want to achieve the ultimate goal of the region to be the hub of the new hub, I believe that we need to collaborate together because I don't know if you know that we have a limited amount of traffic or data within the region. So the objective is to try to link, since the demand on the data is really increasing, to link the data centers to be seamlessly, the traffic to go seamlessly within the data center. Now we are almost finalizing a very unique partnership with one of the ISP providers here in the Gulf. And so, for example, if you want to fetch any data, if you are in Bahrain, for example, no need to come and create a POP here, but you can just come and fetch the data seamlessly from Oman. So connecting the region will be really the key to make this region as a hub.
Okay, Fuad, anything to add?
Yeah, I think Huda is very much on the right track. I mean, we still have a major challenge here, which is connectivity within the region and keeping that connectivity or the data within the region. We have a couple of IXs which are quite active, but still you find that even the large operators don't interconnect with each other. The traffic still, we have many examples of this where the traffic still has to leave the region, go to Europe and come back. And that puts a lot of strain on the networks, I believe, but also has a very bad user experience for the end user. So it's good to see that there are initiatives happening in Oman as well. I mean, UAE has also been there for a while. Bahrain has done a lot as well for that space. And I hope that there's a lot of talk in the region. You see in a lot of the events, you know, there's talks all the way up to Iraq about IXs being open there. And I believe DICX is also involved a little bit there. Yeah, so Kuwait is also trying to pick up on there, and also Saudi. So it's a major challenge for the region.
Okay, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions from you out of the audience here for Huda and the gentleman? You're so clear, all guys. It's fantastic. So, sorry, what? It's not interesting, your age. I would say 38 max. So that's it. So looking at the time, and I know Thiago, and thank you for staying with us so long, because you have to run now for your flight. I know. So I would like to ask you for the closing round, just a quick one. Scoping the future, what can we expect? What are your predictions?
Well, just a very quick and final note from my side, just emphasizing, well, some of the things that were discussed. Bringing the right partner ecosystem focused on specific customer challenges. I think that's the summary I can make. We are all specialized partners, specialized companies, or specialized providers in specific parts of the equation. But the fact is that with the evolution of technology, with evolution of needs, with new types of demands, really understanding the customer needs, and then design and bring together the right pieces of the puzzle, I think it's the key, not only for our, well, survival and growth, but more important than that, to really answer our customers' needs and challenges.
Okay, thank you. Huda, for the closing round, give us your famous words. What's there to expect?
Okay, from a data center perspective, I'm expecting improved securities, conserved energies, as well as reduced downtime. And from the region perspective, I'm hoping that in the very near future, we will see a seamless connected data centers within the region.
Okay, thank you. Rui?
You were asking for predictions. There is a joke,
I love them.
In Portugal from a football player was asked for a prediction for the game, and they said predictions only at the end of the game. Okay.
If Ronaldo plays, then we know what the outcome will be, no?
No, Ronaldo knows the answer. But let me tell just two short stories, which are not predictions, but I think show a little about this. A few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, our clients were reducing the number of fiber pairs because of technology was multiplexing and there was no demand. Nowadays, we are seeing the reverse. So they are asking for not just one fiber pair, but when they ask for 6 or more fiber pairs on the route. So this tells something about predictions. Coming to data centers, and we are talking about the same thing, which is traffic demand. We finished our data center in 2018, and 3 years later, we were already doubling the capacity of the data center.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, just a couple of remarks from my side. And we spoke about young blood with a lot of consumption data. I think this will remain and it will become heavily eventually. And I think all of us should do our part, whether you're on the IX side, on the data center side, or on the CLS side. And I think Rui gave us a good example what they achieved together with the folks from NOS. And I think if we all can work together, into providing services to the end users, to the eyeballs with better quality, that's what we all want, right? And just to close my speech and looking, since we are in Portugal, actually, I really hope that Portugal does not lose the window of opportunity, because we saw that the cables are coming in. We saw some pictures from the folks from Altice landing a Keanu in Sesimbra.
Yep.
So the bandwidth is coming, and I really hope that Portugal is prepared for that, and we are here to help, I guess.
You better make sure you're prepared. Before we go for the closing statement from Felipe, want to go to Fuad, your closing words to the audience?
Well, I just wanted to say that, thank you for having me. And the more users, the more peers, the more carriers that are connected together, the better the experience for everyone. So it just makes it a challenge for all of us to try and make it work. But I think that's where we're here to rise to that challenge.
Okay, thank you. And now, Felipe, some famous last words. From you, from aicep. So please take it away.
I hope I don't collapse after my famous last words. I think that, just, not to, I think we're going to see a lot of investment. All this that we've been talking about, demand, capacity, all these things that we've spoken about, 5G, augmented reality, and artificial intelligence, IoT of moving things, this and that, it all adds up. And I think that sometimes we look at the world economy and we see that the web-based companies have become the biggest companies in the world, be it, Amazon for e-commerce, AWS, Google, content companies like Netflix and so on. But I think that trend's going to continue. There's going to be new economic models pushing this. There is obviously Industry 4.0, but there is also the up and coming web-based shared economy model that's already bringing up some major players. And I hope in all of that the gap doesn't widen. And I hope that the Southern Hemisphere is not forgotten. I hope that what I said before doesn't mean that Europe's going to become a fortress. And I truly hope that Sinch can play that role in connecting Western Europe to South America, Africa, and play a positive role in that.
Okay, thank you so much. And with these words and vision, actually, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close this session, and I would like to thank you, Huda, my beloved. Hugs to Oman as always, and hope to see you soon. Tiago, safe flight. Thank you so much. Fuad, see you next time, but live, and Rui and Darwin and Felipe. So thank you so much, and audience, thank you for sitting here live with us, listening to us, and for you out there, on the World Wide Web. That's why we do it for you. So stay with us, and for the people who are here, we're gonna have a party tonight, and it's sponsored by Carlos. Carlos, are you still here? You're going to pay tonight, right? For the drinks. Together with Jeff, right? From Infinera. So I'll have a G&T. Can I order already? No, I can't. So thank you so much. Stay tuned with us. I wish you a nice remaining of your day and a lovely evening. We'll see each other all later there. Don't say no, because I'll be angry. And to my panelists, thank you again. Thank you, aicep, for the sponsoring this session. And to everybody, for you out there, stay cool, stay safe, stay green, and we love you. And See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Bye-bye.